Okay, so we saw a couple of ads. And the point I was trying to make in that particular question is who are we talking to, right? You need to know your target audience. You need to narrow it down. This question will help you focus on that particular issue. Okay. What it will also help you with are the groups that you actually want to exclude from the setup. Is there a way we can just exclude them so we focus on what we really need to focus on for this particular creative brief? Okay, so let's move on to the next one. And that would be the next question. And that is, what do we know about them? So what do we know about this particular target audience? Okay, so let's think about that because that is extremely important. To answer that question, we ask ourselves this: what makes people tick? Okay, what makes people tick? And the answer to this question is so qualitative and so emotional. So there's no numbers attached to that. Okay, why do people do what they do? This is a consumer insight conversation. It's an emotional conversation. It's a conversation that will involve words more than numbers. Okay, so let's think of, I don't know, let's think about this pen. Okay, it's not a Sharpie, but I'll call it a Sharpie. Okay, so I would say I'm really attached to the Sharpie. All right. I use it in so many different ways. It's very much a part of my life. Okay. I can write a love story about this Sharpie. That's how close I am to this brand. Now you need to come up with your Sharpie or whatever your product is. Okay. And let's pretend for a minute that you need to create an ad for that product. And you want to ask yourself, how are consumers connected to this brand? How often do they use it? Where does it fit into their lives? How does it fit into their lives? Why am I so attached? Why are they so attached to this pen? Okay. What do they feel about it? How do they feel about it? Why do they feel about it? Why? What? Dig deeper. All right. That's what helps us understand why someone does what they do. Okay. Why they buy what they buy. All right. What makes people tick? Extremely important question. And that is what the real consumer insight stuff is. So think about another brand like a toothpaste brand, right? In anthropological terms, we call it ritualized behavior, which basically means, where does this toothpaste fit into the life of my consumer? Okay, in their daily routine. Where does it fit into that ritual? Do they brush their teeth twice in a day? How many people use it? How much of toothpaste is being used every single time? All of that is consumer insight because it helps the company, the brand, figure out a lot of things about that brand based on that information. Okay, so what makes people tick? What do we know about these people? So that was the question we went back to here. All right. And what I want to do is I want to introduce you to this particular company. You may have seen it in Target. I mean, they have it in Target. This is a helmet company. Okay. So the truth is, this company has been around for a very long time. Okay. It used to be known, let me move my face out of here, but it used to be known as the world's best sort of helmet for auto car drivers, right? Racers. And what you're seeing is some of the really old ads where they're just so popular and they're doing, they did extremely well. All of these top, like Kenny Roberts, for example, is biker, well-known guy. And he used to, he was on, he wore this and he's been on it as, one of their celebrity consumers for a long, long time. Okay. But Bell Helmet now wants to come into the daily market, the regular market. Like they want people like you and me to buy their helmets. Okay. So what they've done is they came up with a beautiful series of ads, and I want to tell you what that would look like. But here's what happened. So they're expensive helmets. They last forever, but they're expensive helmets. And then the other thing is you tend to see them more in specialist shops, but now they're in regular stores. Okay. So how do they get there? How they go from specialty and expensive and fancy places to places like Target where you and me can afford it, and we still pay a little bit more money for this particular one than what you would see otherwise. Okay, so let me take you to what they did. Okay. So the first thing they decided to do is let's do focus groups. Okay, so this isn't the company saying let's do focus group. It's the advertising company saying, we should do focus groups. We get to know a little bit better about who our audiences and what do they care about. Okay, so it was an interesting sort of focus group study. So this is what they did. So they reached out to the mom and they said, we'd like to interview you, and then we would actually also like to interview your kid. And so, that's kind of how they focused on it. Okay, so they asked a bunch of questions. Okay. And the answer we're trying to get here is, what do we know about these people who would buy our helmet? Okay. So they asked the mom and they said, would you buy a helmet? It's like, oh yeah, absolutely. We would, our kid won't go anywhere out without a helmet. We wear it. I mean, it's important, for safety. And so she was asked, would you pay a little bit more money for a great helmet? And they said, absolutely, we would do that. And then what about your son? Like, would your son, your son's 9 years old. Do you think he's going to wear a helmet? And the mom says, oh, you won't believe it. He doesn't go anywhere without the helmet. I mean, he is so particular about safety. We love it. Wears it every day when he goes to school and everything. So yes, we would pay up for safety. If it's a great helmet, absolutely something that we would buy. Okay. So then they took permission from the mom to talk to the son separately. Okay. So they had a conversation with this kid and they said, well, do you wear this helmet all the time? What do you think about it? And first he says, yes, absolutely. And then after some time, he's like, actually, until my mom can see me on my bike, I wear the helmet. And then when we turn, I just throw the helmet, maybe hide it under a bush or put it in my bag, but I don't wear it. Oh, you don't? Okay, but why? Well, here's the thing, because it's dorky. It's dorky. Okay, I don't wear it because people are going to make fun of me in school. Wow. Okay, so that's an insight. The parents would buy an expensive helmet. The darn kid doesn't want to wear it. Okay, so here's the problem. Okay, and here's the insight. So, A, it's expensive, but people will be willing to pay for it. B, it's not cool enough for the kid to wear it. So this is what we are learning when we do consumer insight, right? It's answering this question. What do we know about them? What do we know about them? So based on that, what is the role of advertising here now? 2, you had to convince parents that even though it's expensive, it's the best thing to buy. 2, we need to figure out a way to make our helmets feel cool so all the kids would wear it. Okay. So of course you're fighting against competitor helmets with the kid as well, but you're also going to push them to wear it. Okay, so what do they come up with? This is great insight. Without this information, it's very hard to create the kind of ads that were created. Here was one of those ads that was created. Okay, so this one says 40-year-old history of Bell helmets in 2.3 seconds. And basically what they're saying is guy hits the wall, car explodes, guy's okay. All right. So these are very sturdy, very good helmets, worth the price. Okay, that's what you're trying to do. So, excuse me. This is a series of ads we're doing here. Okay, so this is the first one. Here's the second one. Think about the audience. Think about the objectives. Think about who they're talking to and how they're hitting on all points. Okay, number 2. We haven't been this excited about a new helmet since the 1961 bubble shield. Okay, so the little text there is saying back then it didn't get any cooler. So what they were wearing at that time, 61, they were cool. Look at them now, they're still cool. Okay, so that's what they're trying to say, that it was a cool shape then, it's a cool shape now, and of course it's real great quality stuff. Okay, because that's Kenny, who's the biker guy who we don't probably know, but he's pretty famous in the bikers world. Okay, the third one there. Look, the kids would love this, right? I mean, Nasha Smasha, okay. So are helmets cooler than an astronaut's? Okay, so that's what they're trying to do there. Clearly, that's something that kids might think is cool. Um, and they say that in theirs, they're, like the astronaut head, the head wobbles inside your helmet, but in ours, it doesn't. And of course, theirs is not for sale, but ours is. Okay, so not just mushroom. Very, very sweet, nice little ad. Again, think about the points that it's hitting based on the objectives that were set. Okay, here's another one. Now they're trying to convince parents too, right? Does your kid have $100 feet and a $10 head? Okay, which means you're paying for fancy shoes. How about you pay up for a helmet that is actually going to protect the head, which is the most important part of your body? Okay, so if you spend more money on your kids' bike helmets than you did on your sneakers, don't read another word of this ad. Yeah, we thought so. Okay, so again, what have they done? There were two different objectives. I'm going to go back to those objectives. Okay, which is right here. Convince parents that it is worth the premium price, and two, make it cool. Okay, and they've done both. So very important to think about your overall questions before you go ahead and jump into creating ads, right? Whether it's for your individual projects, whether it's for your other projects, think about this and go in order. Why are we advertising? What are we trying to achieve? What's the objective? Who is our target audience? And what do we know about them? Based on that, you can create some of these ads. All right, we've got two more questions here to finish, and so let's try and get them done here. The next one is, what is the main idea we need to communicate? And connected to that is, what's the best way to plant that idea, which is your strategy, which is obviously an extremely important component here. Okay, so for that, let's talk about the big idea, the main takeaway, and the proposition in the next video.